Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered for the next video, leave a comment below starting with buy or sell. In this episode, we look at the next great Six Flags clone, what could be the last aerial looper standing, and if the world's soon-to-be tallest, fastest, and longest coaster will be a dream for its riders, but a nightmare for its park. This is Buy or Sell, episode 24. Let's start with Fun Temple. By 2027, Silver Dollar City will replace Outlaw Run's topper track with steel iBox. Before a couple years ago, I don't even know if people thought this could happen. RMC built 4 topper track wooden coasters, and all the rest of them used steel iBox track. Those topper track wooden coasters ran amazing when they were new, but that has not lasted over time. Lightning Rod was getting rough, so RMC came in and replaced more than half its track before 2021. When I rode it in 2022, it made a big difference, although people who rode it this year are saying it's getting rough again. Still, the iBox track is an option, it works, and Dollywood is owned by Herschend, and Herschend also owns Silver Dollar City. Outlaw Run is way rougher than Lightning Rod ever was from my experience, so I'm buying this. Herschend has proven they'll do it. They have a coaster built by the same manufacturer that needs it. It's only a matter of time. Code 4 Life 04 and Con PACU 91. The Vekoma Super Boomerang will be the next Six Flags clone coaster. The Vekoma Super Boomerang is on trial in 2024. The first model just opened this past summer in China, so even there, we don't have a big sample size to look at. When the Flash opens at Great Adventure, they're going to see how finicky the ride is. Will it break down every 5 minutes? Will people enjoy it? Will it be too intense or too mild? Will it really run with a max capacity of 800 riders per hour? Or will the line build up so much because they're only dispatching 8 times in an hour? These trains seat 24 people. 24 times 8 is 192. If that becomes a big enough problem, maybe they do buy some of these but put them in smaller parks. If it becomes a huge problem, maybe the Flash spends 4 or 5 years at the park and then gets moved, the same way their Larson Loop Diablo did. I'm gonna buy this, but I'd be very surprised if another one of these opens up at a big park. Look for St. Louis, America. Maybe something like this replaces Diamondback at Frontier City. Diamondback came from Great Adventure. It would make sense if they got Flash as a hand-me-down also. I'd say Discovery Kingdom, but this is 14 feet too tall, unless they can get a scaled-down version. That park already has a capacity nightmare in Superman Ultimate Flight. That's lucky to get through 100 riders per hour, let alone 200. Jason Rodriguez, 4264. Major parks are going to invest on major projects before the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Let's see where the World Cup is going to be played. Toronto, that's Canada's Wonderland. Vancouver, that's Playland. Mexico City, that's Six Flags Mexico. Atlanta, that's Six Flags Over Georgia and Fun Spot. Boston, there are parks that are somewhat nearby, but they're small. Arlington, that's Six Flags Over Texas. Houston, that's Six Flags never mind. Kansas City, that's Worlds of Fun. Inglewood, that's every Southern California park. East Rutherford, that's Great Adventure. Philadelphia, that's also Great Adventure and Hershey Park and Dorney and Knoebels. Santa Clara, that's Great America. Seattle, that's Wild Waves. Good luck with that one. It's possible that some of these parks have major additions around that time, but I'm selling them adding a big new coaster just for the games. I don't think they need something new to draw in people who have never been there before. I think they market what they have. They put on special events to celebrate the world. Think parades, or food tasting, special hours, fireworks displays. I would definitely expect that, but not a flood of new additions just for the games. Luke Bergen, 8760. Worlds of Fun gets another major new coaster within the next 5 years. Speaking of the World Cup, a lot of people thought Zambezi Zinger was related to the World Cup coming in 2026. Other people thought this could be the first sign of a new interest to invest into the park. Kansas City is growing slowly, about 0.75% per year over the past 5 years. That may be a reason to build the park up, but I don't think so. I'm selling this. Worlds of Fun got a new coaster in 2023, and Dorney Park got a new one for 2024. To me, that seems like they're giving their smaller parks a bone. The bottom 4 in the chain have been ignored for so long. Before this year, all of them had gone more than 10 years without a new coaster, but they can't ignore them forever. I think Zambezi Zinger and Iron Menace was just Cedar Fair throwing their small parks a bone. Here you go, have fun with this. Don't talk to us for another dozen years. Maybe this changes because of the merger, but I don't see why it would. Roller Coaster Frolicking. Falcon's Flight will be a success for visitors, but it will be a problematic coaster for Six Flags Qiddiya. Earlier this month at IAPA, we got some official stats on Falcon's flight. Honestly, I'd love to see how much this thing is going to cost to build. It's in Saudi Arabia, so you know they're loaded with oil money, and money probably was not a factor. They just wanted the world's biggest and most ridiculous coaster. Intamin was glad to take their money and design this thing, rising up 640 feet off the ground, its max drop being 519 feet, topping out at 155 miles an hour, and covering almost 14,000 feet of track. That's so much longer than the world's longest coaster, it's insane. You could cut this into 3 pieces and still make 3 super long coasters. The first part of this question is, will it be a success for visitors? If by visitors you mean the general public, then I think yes. When you have a coaster this size, the elements really don't matter for most people. The only concern is the intensity. Will the sheer size and speed of this ride scare people away, the way I-305 is not super popular at King's Dominion? That could very well happen. As for the elements, they don't look like the best out there. But just remember, this isn't being built by some no-name knockoff company. This is being built by Intamin. Those airtime hills should be pretty good. The only concern is it won't be running that fast from the start and it won't be all that powerful. After that 519-foot drop, all bets are off. You're flying. If any coaster enthusiast gets out there, I'd be surprised if it's anyone's number 1, but it should crack some top 10s. Now, let's look at the ride in relation to the park. Their maintenance has to walk 14,000 feet of track every day, including going up on top of that cliff. They probably have a machine to do that, but still, that's a lot of track where things can go wrong. This is also being built in the desert. Will the sand cause problems? I don't know, seems like it would. Also, being as tall as it is, we all know the higher you are, the worse the wind gets. Maybe that screws up its speed and it has issues with valleying. Maybe because of how much track they need to take care of, it starts getting rough early on. This is also Intamin. It's the first ever Exacoaster, a coaster over 600 feet. We totally skipped over the 500-foot mark. It's gonna have an LSM launch. There's a lot of red flags here for problems, so I'm buying this. They have every intention of building this and opening it to the public, but sometimes coasters get built and never open. There's a whole park in China called Hot Go Dream World. They have 2 beautiful B&Ms that have been standing but not operating since 2015, and it's possible that happens here. You would think the backers of this project have enough money to push past any financial problems, but I can see this opening and the coaster being plagued with issues, and those cause it to be closed for long periods of time. Appalachian Enthusiast 9499. Jinma will make its way to America within the next 10 years. For those who don't know, Jinma is a Chinese coaster company that builds rides that look a lot like those from other manufacturers. They have 381 coasters worldwide, but chances are, if you're watching this video, you've never seen one in person. 327 of those 381 are in China. All but 14 of their coasters are in Asia. That leaves 1 kids coaster in Europe, that being in Czechia, 1 in South America, 4 in Africa, and 8 in Mexico and Central America. I just don't think there's a big demand for Jinma coasters in America. I'm not even sure if they're allowed to sell coasters in America. I'm selling this, but now I kinda wanna see it happen. If a Jinma coaster was gonna come to America, who would be the one to buy it? I could see maybe an Indiana Beach or a Jersey Boardwalk, but that would be very interesting. Being Team 2891, Pandemonium at Fiesta Texas will be moved to make way for a new coaster by 2030. I've been calling for this for 5 years now, and up to this point it hasn't happened. They keep adding coasters, but they haven't needed to move anything out yet. At some point, that's not going to be the case anymore. I'm buying this. These coasters have been moved before. We saw the one at Discovery Kingdom go to Mexico, and now that Fiesta Texas has Kid Flash, they have another coaster that's family friendly. If they wanted to do something bigger in the back of the park, they could use the Pandemonium plot of land. A lot of parks could use this, and now that Cedar Fair parks are in play, maybe one of them gets it. Carowinds, Valley Fair, Michigan's Adventure, it's a good fit for a lot of parks. Misery Beach 9630. The Mr. Freeze coasters will be gone in the next 5 years due to maintenance and downtime. In the late 90s, Premier Rides gave Premier Parks a few coasters. Over Texas and St. Louis got Mr. Freeze, and Great Adventure got the Chiller, a dual launch shuttle coaster. These were very similar, featuring an LIM launch, an inverted top hat, a spike, but Chiller was plagued with so many problems, and within 10 years it was gone. The Mr. Freeze clones didn't have the same fate. Why? I think one of the problems was the use of power, and the fact that Chiller had 2 tracks where Mr. Freeze has 1. 25 years later, and Mr. Freeze is still going strong at both parks, and they remain in the top tier of popularity. I'm selling this. It seems like these have been around for long enough to be on solid ground, and if these are having mechanical issues in this day and age, I haven't heard about it. Jackson Bachman. Because of transfer costs, Railblazer will be moved to Discovery Kingdom. When you look at California's Great America, you see 9 coasters of all shapes and sizes. In 2022, the land was sold underneath the park, and it was announced it would be phased out over the course of 11 years. We all think it could happen sooner, or maybe not at all. We'll see how this plays out, but we all immediately want to speculate where all these coasters can go. In reality, we're probably only looking at 3 coasters being moved: Lucy's Krabby Cabbies, Psycho Mouse, and Railblazer. This is the big prize. At the time, everyone thought this would be perfect for a smaller Cedar Fair park. Worlds of Fun, Valley Fair, Dorney Park, Michigan's Adventure. I said it could go to King's Dominion. Now that Cedar Fair and Six Flags are becoming one company, that opens a door for Railblazer to be moved to a park nearby. A park that's about on the same tier as Great America. A park with a 150-foot height limit. That's Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. I'm buying this. They could use the ride, it's a good fit for the park, and they would save a boatload of money by moving at 66 miles up the coast compared to 3,000 miles across the country. We've seen chains move coasters across the country. Look at Deja Vu at Magic Mountain going to New England, so you can't rule that out. Coasters and cars. Loch Ness Monster and Canyon Blaster will be the last aero looper standing. Even though it seems like these are dropping like flies, by my count, we still have 15 and have only lost 9. Of those 15, there are quite a few that seem expendable. I'm talking about Viper at Magic Mountain, the last of the Mega Loopers still standing, and some others that may be considered classics but aren't popular in the parks anymore. I'm talking about Corkscrew at Cedar Point, or Dragonfire at Canada's Wonderland. Canyon Blaster and Loch Ness Monster are great picks. Canyon Blaster was built into its dome. It's still the headline coaster at the park, and it's still running great. Busch Gardens takes great care of Loch Ness Monster, and it's getting an overhaul this year. I'm buying this, but not with a ton of confidence. There are 2 others that could be contenders. 3 if you count Viper at Darien Lake. Tennessee Tornado was Arrow's last looper. That's very smooth and very intense, and still a great ride. You also have Dragon Mountain, the icon of Marineland, and as long as their gates are open, that's staying around. The only problem is, I don't know how long this park will be open. If this goes under in the near future, that's game over for Dragon Mountain. Midnight Coasters. Kings Island's next B&M coaster will be a dive. Kings Island didn't get a B&M until 2009, and since then, they've added 2 more. Thanks Cedar Fair, it almost seems like you know what you're doing. They have a Hyper, Diamondback, an Invert, Banshee, and a Giga, Orion. What B&M could be next? They don't have a flying coaster. They had one up until 2018 when they removed their Vekoma Flyer Firehawk, and I think that's still a great option here. However, this model seems to be on its way out. The last one was built in 2016. They still make sit-down loopers, but don't bet on that. It could be a surf coaster, but that seems kind of a niche pick. And I think if they go the launch route, it'll be either Vekoma or Mock Rides. It could be a family coaster like SeaWorld Orlando is getting, but they're getting a family coaster this year, a Vekoma family Boomerang. Maybe it's a wing coaster, but with Gatekeeper up the road at Cedar Point, maybe they don't do that. So that leaves the dive coaster, and I know what you're thinking. If I'm disqualifying the wing coaster because of Gatekeeper, shouldn't I disqualify the dive coaster because of Valraven? Well, probably yes, but I'm not. I'm buying this. Cedar Fair knows the power of the dive coaster. These are GP magnets. They don't have to be very long. They have great capacity. They can also be affordable. I mean, Fiesta Texas got Six Flags to build one. It couldn't have been that much money. I think they do go with the dive coasters or next B&M, whenever that might be. That's a wrap on episode 24, and if you can math, that means we're wrapping up 2 full years of buy or sell. For my next episode, I'm thinking of only doing questions on the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger, so let me know if you want to see that and leave your ideas down below. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. I have a playlist with all the buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to love baseball. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.